it's a very common fault where you get stuck, club gets stuck in behind. A lot of players, I think a lot of amateur golfers actually, they notice they get early extension, they get the club stuck, they can see it, but they don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Getting the club stuck in behind, obviously you can get the big push to the right, push slice, or even the hook if you manage to overcorrect the face. For yourself, one of the key things about even just moving away from that position is trying to get the consistency of angle of attack. So really kind of compressing into the ball, because you'll notice whenever you get stuck, you may not even be taking a divot.
Yeah.
So a lot of players as well watching this, if you don't take divots, if you feel like you get the club stuck in behind, you get that big push, which is the most common one, especially on the driver.
Yeah.
So two very different outcomes with an iron, where there's no compression, the driver, the big push. This drill is one of my favorites.
Yeah, and just to summarize this, getting stuck is essentially when you have that feeling that you don't have any room at impact. And if you were to freeze frame a moment of time in the downswing, it would be when the club shaft is level with the ground. We're going to see that the arms are behind the seam line of the shirt from face on. You're going to see that my hands are well behind my back leg. There's a window of disappointment here between the elbow and the body. And from there, you've got no room. So you're going to compensate in a multitude of ways. So what's this drill we're talking about, Amy?
So this is something actually one of the best players in the world has been played with as well as yourself, obviously.
In good company.
You're in very good company. Rory's been battling this, I think, literally since he was a junior golfer, and probably still is battling it to a point. He really struggles with consistency of wedges. And he's worked on and off a lot with Pete Cowan, and this is one of, it might not be Pete Cowan's drill, but it's one drill that Pete Cowan uses a lot with Rory and some of his top players. It's basically called the split hand drill. Okay. So you put your left hand at your glove hand at the top, trail hand right at the bottom of the grip. So there's a kind of clear kind of gap between the two. And the purpose of this now is to basically get you keeping these hands in front of the chest. So obviously you can see it set up, the hands are in front of the chest. If you rotate up to the top of the backswing for me, now if you try and get stuck on the inside for me, you should be able to still do it. There we go. So you can see the angle of where the shaft is relative to his body. His body now is pointing back down towards the golf ball, but the shaft is still there. If you go back to the top of the backswing for me, and if you just kind of push this trail arm down in front of your chest there. There we go. So now we've got the hands underneath the shoulders, therefore the club is in front of the chest again. So the club head is also higher at this point, more often than not, so we can compress down onto the golf ball.
Yeah, so, and it's very much a common feeling from the top here, right, that we see that players would get those arms moving further behind the body. Yep. So as I do this drill, and I give this to a lot of my students as well, as we swing to the top, you're going to see that if I was to stand up and face the camera, you're going to see that my hands are still pretty much in line with each shoulder. Now, every high-level ball striker out there starts with their hands in front of the chest, and at the moment of impact, gets their hands back in front of the chest.
Yep.
The worst ball strikers will maybe start with their hands in front. If they don't, they're setting up very awkwardly. But at the moment of impact, you'll find that their chest is usually quite high, lifted, and then the hands, you'll see this big scooping motion that plagues so many golfers, right? Yep. So ensuring that as we do this split grip, right, from address, I always advise players take their normal setup,
Yep.
And then from there, putting two hands on the club, hands in front of the shoulders. Now, what's the feeling to swing to the top here? What am I using?
So as you start to rotate to the top, turn the body, but I feel like the arms are working upwards.
Yeah.
So you get a nice little bit of height in your arm. So you feel like the arms are working up as the body starts to rotate.
Great checkpoint. We can use the butt of the club pointing down towards the ball line.
Yep.
If I don't use and lift my arms, we're going to see that the end of the grip here is going to point out to right field there. So let's do that again. And as I make this turn, what am I turning? I'm not turning around. What do you get your players to feel, Andy?
I feel like they're turning upwards. So I feel like this your lead shoulder is working underneath the chin. So you always kind of have that vision that you're kind of rotating around the spine. So your shoulders are rotating and staying at a 90-degree angle to your spine angle. So your arms have worked up and the left shoulder for you has worked downwards.
Yeah, perfect.
And then from here, I like the feeling of straightening this right arm out in front of your chest on the way down. So almost feel as if, for the purpose of the drill, that you're actually starting the transition kind of with your arms to start with. So your arms are kind of pulling themselves back into position, back in front of your chest, and then you can rotate it from there. Because again, a lot of players have spent so much time on trying to get the club back on the inside, or there's so much information about rotating the hips and getting pressure onto the lead side. A lot of players forget that the arms need to kind of bring themselves back into position as well. It's really easy to spin out, and like you say, that's how you get stuck. There's so much emphasis on hip turn at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a really easy fault.
And a lot of players are probably going to look at this video and go, well, you haven't completed your backswing. I see the best players in the world at the top of the swing get the club shaft parallel. Well, what happens is your body essentially has some dynamic elasticity, right? So when everything is in motion and your body is soft and relaxed, you have this huge range of motion that you don't have when you're trying to do something statically, right? But the feeling is what you're looking for. Now, the average tour player only gets his lead arm moving across the body about this much. The average recreational player gets it moving all the way across, which then eventually, as we can see as I do that, as the lead arm moves across in their attempt to get their left arm matching their shoulder plane and the club way behind them, you can see that I've got no width from face on, and we've lost that structure, that lead arm there. So from address, we're going to do the split grip, hands in front here, Andy. I also like to feel the back of the right shoulder facing the target's really good. I feel like that encourages the whole body to pivot on that angle. So facing the target, get to the top where you feel like you're loaded up. And even from there, after you've done a few of these reps, getting the club back down in front, feels really, really solid. What I would actually then transition to, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, is if I get then my hands on the club and simply just try and get back to that feeling. Focus purely on unloading that back arm. Now, I will quickly make mention too, we did a video in Dubai not long ago about kind of the misconception of Hogan's right elbow. So make sure you go and check that one out, because we really dispel the myth around what that was about. It's really not about driving the elbow back in front of the body, because guess where my hands are? Way behind the center line of my chest, right?
This is stuff you can actually do at home. So not even just going out and beating balls and trying to hit a load of repetition, just loads of repetition in the house. Like get the golf club there and just like you've just done there, is mimic that impact position there and start to feel like how much lower body rotation there is, how the club is working directly underneath the chin, and then the shaft angle there is straight down the target line. So you're starting to gain more of an understanding of the positions you need to try and get into. And exactly like you just said then, get to the top of the backswing, put your grip back together, and then work on impact again. So understanding impact position will obviously then massively help that transition.
Let's do 2 shots showing the difference between getting stuck and not getting stuck. We'll try and not lose our balls into the bush like we've done such a good job of. But this one here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swing to the top, and I'm gonna feel that my back arm actually increases in flex and moves behind us. I'm only gonna hit a small one here, because otherwise Andy's gonna die. Just managed to not lose that one, that was good. So you'll see as we put that in slow motion from down the line, how much that back arm moved behind. Probably looked very unathletic, right?
It wasn't your best looking swing.
My mother wouldn't be proud of that one. Now, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna rehearse first of all with this drill, really focusing on that back arm straightening. Don't be afraid to really feel like it gets long in that downswing. And as an exaggeration of a shot,
lovely.
Like we can see with very little power and what felt like a lot less stress on the body, just by simply unloading that back arm, you can get a lot more compression out of your golf shots.
Thanks for watching this video. YouTube thinks that you would benefit from watching this one next. So click that card and it could be the tip that you need to take your game to the next level. I'll see you next time.